Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Happy holidays and a happy new year to everybody. So for the past few weeks, I have been going back through the older videos, collecting questions so that I can answer for you. And these questions show up very often, and some of these may have been repeated, but I think it's very important because people still want to know, and it may be difficult to go back to the old videos to see them. And in times like this, we need to start to do more gardening indoors, especially now because of course, the pandemic, but also because it's so cold and you can't grow anything outside. So let's take some of the fun growing projects inside and have fun while we wait for spring to come. So I have a list of 20 questions here. These are actually really good questions, and I hope that this will help you in your grow this winter season, and you can enjoy, because we need some some fun right now while we wait for the everything to calm down. So anyway, the very first question, and this is probably people's favorite, is to see my grow rooms and all the stuff that I'm doing inside. So I'm gonna show you my AeroGarden, the fun little things that I'm doing with it, and also both of my grow tents. So let's go take a look. Okay, for my indoor setup, I have an AeroGarden, actually two that are running right now, and I use it for so many different things. And the first one here is I'm using this to charge my watch. You can actually do that with the AeroGarden. Here are some plants that I'm actually working on, and you see these herbs here? These are culantro, and I've grown this for a while. It's been giving me lots and lots of leaves, and anytime I need them, I just come by here and just pull a few leaves to use, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. So once they get to this size, they just grow like crazy. And here's one where I trimmed down almost completely, but it's starting to come back, you see? So they're gonna have more leaves very soon. And then I'm also growing radish here. These are the rat tails radish. I'm doing some hydroponic tests with these. I have some peppers there and some seedlings I'm starting, and I'm also doing my small mini projects here, and you see that? It's about to have 3 fruits for this little tiny setup. And also I'm propagating back there, and so there, you can do a bunch with the AeroGarden, especially growing little herbs like this. And then I have my FrankenPepper here. Look at that. I showed this back a few weeks ago, I think, so check the video there. So look at all those fruits the plant produces already. And this is a different variety. See how the leaves are much different than the one down there. And this is another graft, and there's a few more in the back. So it's pretty cool, fun experiment. So let me show you the larger setups. Okay, next up is my 4x4x6 grow tent by Spider Farmer. And the light is also by Spider Farmer. This is the SF4000. And I have a fan right there that is hooked up to the tent by zip tie. It's nothing special. It's pretty easy, just tie it up there with the zip tie. And then the fan would blow cool air onto the unit, and it keeps the unit really cool, and it doesn't heat up your tent. And also because of the fan, it actually helps with the lifespan of your light, so it's actually a good thing. Also, it provides a little bit of an airflow through here. And then I have my cord basically coming in from the outside, and it's just hanging here. You can actually tie it up to that area if you like, and keep it out of the way, but it's fine right here. And someone asked about how did I hang up the air pump, and again, it's pretty simple. You see the cord there, and I just did a zip tie right there. You see, just a zip tie, and it just stuck to the pole, and that's how I keep the air pump. It's pretty light, so it doesn't really affect anything. and that's really how easy it is to do your pump. Nothing complicated. And then here I have these plants that I've been growing. I did a project a while back, actually not a while back, maybe about a week or so ago, and showing you guys how to grow these plants and how cheap it could be, and if it would be worth the cost within a month to grow all these plants. And I think the plants are either 40 days or so, or maybe a little bit older. So look at these, they're so beautiful. My raft system I did a video on, the entire system I did a video on, and so you can go back to the earlier videos and check it out and see how I did the entire thing. And I have been harvesting lettuce like crazy. We cannot eat them all. I have been giving it away. Romaine, you see here, romaine, I harvested so many romaine leaves, and as soon as you harvest it, wait a few days, it'll grow right back, so it doesn't look like I did anything to it. You see that? My red lettuce is finally catching up. Those are the slowest type of lettuce to grow in this setup, but finally it's doing something. I haven't touched the leaves yet, you see, so they're still slower than the rest. The tat soy is out of control, guys. If you love pak choy, baby bok choys, or whatever, these are great variety for you to grow because they taste a little bit similar, a little bit sweeter actually, and they grow like crazy. Look at this, look how beautiful they are, and they're just tons and tons of leaves. You don't have to cut the entire thing. Just cut the leaves and make soups out of them, put them in a salad, do whatever you want, and then they just keep growing back. You see the inside leaf, they just keep coming out, and they fan out like that. So these are just gorgeous plants, and they just love hydroponic. So grow those, and you will be very happy. See those? They're just beautiful. And also salad bowl is another great one. And here you see, these are salad bowl lettuce, and they're just gorgeous, and they taste really nice. They have a very mild flavor, so if you don't like too much green flavor, then grow those. They're very nice. And then of course romaine. These are like the most crunchy romaine you would ever grow. I forgot the name of these romaine, but they're just amazing. Maybe I'll find the name and I'll put it on the description so you can check it out. And then arugula, if you grow arugula, you would be also very happy. They produce the most beautiful tender leaves, a little bit more mild than if you grow them in soil. But I have been harvesting leaves like crazy. I cut the leaves, you see that? I cut all the outer leaves, and I get like so many arugula from just the 5-gallon container, and they just keep growing back. So you can continue to harvest for a while. There's a lot of nutrients left. And yeah, I have not done anything else to the containers here. I set it up, forget it, and then come back and harvest when it's ready. So there's really no work. And look at that, it's just gorgeous, guys. So make sure to check out these plants and grow them indoors, because you're gonna be so happy, especially in times like this. Okay, so those are my setups. So actually I have another one, so let me show you. Okay, here is the second tent, and this is mainly for projects that I'm working on, like new pepper varieties, and testing with different Kratky setup for growing different type of plants and new pepper variety. So let me show you this beautiful plant that I'm working on, and I have been working on this plant for a while, because peppers do take a while to grow. So look at this. This is a tiny pepper plant that I'm growing into in a vase that I stole from my wife. These are our flowering vase. Okay, so look at the amount of fruits that are on here. You see all of those flowers and fruits? They're just loaded. I mean, I think there are more flowers than there are leaves on this plant. And let me turn it around. Look at that, so many. And the fruits are looking really nice too. And the most awesome thing about this variety that I really love is the stem. You see how long the stem is? It hangs the fruits like that. So the stem is awesome. Look at that. So lots and lots of fruits on a tiny plant. And this plant can grow very big if you grow them in a larger space. But regardless of how much space you give the plant, it will still produce a ton of peppers. So this is one of the pepper variety that I think people are going to enjoy, because you can get lots of fruits from a small space. If you're wondering, the powder is diatomaceous earth. I had a few fungus gnats problem, so that's what I'm using to treat some of it. But I'll go into fungus gnat treatment in a little bit. Okay, so here are other things. I ran out of the, these are the yu choy some. And I ran out of seeds, so I went to the store. I bought some fresh ones. I put them in water, and then once they sprouted, the roots, I put them in soil, and then I'm growing them for seeds. So those are just mainly for seeds purposes. So you can actually do that if you don't have a way to get the seeds. And there's some in the back over there. And here, these are ruby mizuna. I think ruby mizuna. They're just beautiful. They taste like mustard. I think they're also called ruby mustard or red mizuna. And I'm growing this in a 1 gallon container. Beautiful. And that project I just showed you already, I just did a video on this. And then I'm growing apples here. Some of these are radish here. And then I'm also cloning Chinese broccoli, because I need seeds for those. And then that is the indoor overwintering project that I did recently. I had a video that I chopped down the entire plant to grow inside, because I love this variety, and look how big that is. So next year I'm going to take it outside. It's going to produce like crazy. And you may be wondering, what are all these crazy plants that are in here? These are cover crops. So I'm not going to go into too much about cover crops, but you can actually do that in 5 gallons. Just grow a bunch of cover crops, and if you have worms in there or whatever, just pull the cover crops once they get big enough, and then just throw it back in there, and that will serve as nutrients for the plants and also food for your worms. So yeah, that's just it. So those are my setups. So let's go on to the next questions. Okay, the next question is, can you use Miracle-Gro water-soluble solutions for growing hydroponic? I think they're talking about the tomato formula where they have, you can, it's water-soluble. And this is actually a good question, because I actually have tested it in the past, and it does work, but it doesn't work as well as the true hydroponic solutions or hydroponic nutrients. So you can use it, but I think it's made for soil use. So I mean, if that is the only thing you can get, you can definitely try it, but the plants won't grow as well as the hydroponic nutrients. Number 2, can you please show other plants you're growing in hydroponic? I'm dying to see what can be grown in hydroponic. So I guess you've seen the video, the tour that I just showed you a while ago of the setup. You can pretty much grow any leafy greens, like romaine, all the salads, mizuna, you saw my mizuna, tomatoes, people have grown strawberries. A friend of mine in the UK have grown, what are those? The ground cherries, so you can grow ground cherries in those. So I mean, there's no limit to what you can grow. You can probably do trees as well, but it's just, it will take too much time. So I would say anything that doesn't take up a lot of space and doesn't take too long to grow. You want something that can grow within 40, 50, 60 days, 100 days, and that's pretty much it. If anything longer than that, it's going to be a lot of work. So I personally just grow most of the time leafy greens, peppers, and some radish too. So those are some things that you can do. Okay, how large of a reservoir do I need for growing in hydroponic? This is a great question. If you're growing lettuce, 1 gallon per plant is all you need. And if you plan to grow a ton of them, just measure it out. If you're growing, 10 lettuce plants, then you need 10 to 15 gallons, whatever. And if you grow more, then you would need more. So also, if you grow different plants, those plants would take more nutrients. Like for example, if I grow pak choi, man, those things drink a lot of water. So I think they drink a little bit more than the lettuce. So I would say 2 gallons if you're growing those big bok choy. Those seems to drink a lot more. Also, if you're growing cucumbers and tomatoes, those things also drink a lot of water. So depending on the plants you're growing. So, but if you're growing leafy greens, you're safe with 1 gallon per plant. Except arugula, they don't drink that much. So let's just say lettuce. Lettuce is 1 gallon per plant. Okay, number 4 is checking pH and ppm important when growing plants in hydroponic. Yes, they're absolutely important. You're probably wondering why I haven't done it. Yeah, I haven't done ppm checking or pH checking in a long time. I use the AeroGarden plant food, and all I do is I put 5 milliliter per gallon. That standard measurement worked almost for every plants that I've grown. Peppers, tomatoes, leafy greens, all that stuff. So they work fine. But if you want the most optimal results, then you should go and check your pH. It should be between 5.9 to 6.1 or something around there. If it's above 6.5, adjust it lower. If it's lower than 5.9, then bring it up a little bit. It can go down to 5.5, but you're borderline, acidity. So I would try to link you to a chart that display all of the nutrients that can be taken up by the plant easily if they're at the right pH level. And also ppm is also important because depending on what plants you're growing, the ppm needs to fluctuate to match the plant's needs. So there is also a chart. I'll try to find it and link it to you guys, but if you go with those, it gives you the best results. Okay, so yes, pH and ppm is important. So check it. Okay, so can you refill when using hydroponic method? Yes, you can refill. So I'll show you exactly how to do it. I'll insert a video clip to show you exactly how I do it. So when you grow in hydroponic, there's DWC and there is a Kratky or non-circulating method. So the DWC is a deep water culture. It has air constantly being pushed into the water, so you don't have to worry about plants would drown. That method you can refill whenever you need. For the Kratky method, it's non-circulated, so there's no air being pushed into the water. So what that means is the plants will have to create its own air roots to pick up the oxygen that it needs. So what happens is, in the beginning, the plants are small. You can submerge the plants entirely, the roots and all, underwater. So as the plant grow roots and get bigger, it will drink the water level, and the water level would slowly drop, and it dropped. And then in the space where there's a gap, the plants will produce air roots to breathe. So the air root has these little fuzzes you can see. It's really cool. And then that's how the plants take up oxygen and being able to live in just water. So when you refill, the recommended way is to refill usually where the current level is, but you can actually refill a little bit higher. As long as you don't cover all of the air roots, the plants will be fine. So if you refill and you refill all the way up to the original level where the plant was initially, and all the roots are submerged, the plants are going to die because it doesn't have a way to breathe. So, but if you say, for example, like if you're cloning or propagating plants, how can that plant stay in water for so long and not die? And the reason for that is, if the plant started in water and there's no fluctuation of the water level, the plant would still be alive even though it's submerged completely, because the roots are water roots. So it knows it can live there for a long time, 3-4 months, 5-6 months. It'll be there and it'll be fine. But once they have the air root, it'll develop those air roots, and you drown those air roots, the plant is going to go into shock and it will die. So remember, okay, so make sure when you refill to the level where it is or slightly above, and not more than that where it will drown the plants. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to refill your Kratky system without drowning your plants. So here, you see I have some herbs growing here, and you can see all the roots are everywhere. And usually the bottom area right here is where you can actually refill to, and the top area right here is where your air roots are located. And because this is a really small system, even if I refill up to here, it'll take a few days to drown the plants, but by that time the plants would already drink the water down. So that's the one advantage of growing plants in little containers. You can actually refill a bunch and the plant would drink it before it begins to drown. But you see here, usually the water level is here, and those are your air. So if you refill all the way up here, the plants are gonna die. So do it to around the original level or slightly above. See, there you go. And that is how you refill your hydro setup, a Kratky method. And use the same principle for the larger containers. Just leave some air roots to be above the water and you're fine. Okay, can Kratky be done outdoors? Absolutely. You can do Kratky outdoor, and I have done many projects on it already. So go back to some of my previous videos. I'll try to link you guys so you can watch it. I actually have one right now outdoor. Oh man, it's freezing and the plants are still alive. So I'll see if I can catch a clip and show you. That way you can see how amazing Kratky method is, especially when you're growing lettuce where it can take really cold weather. Okay guys, here is my outdoor Kratky setup. Man, it is freezing and it's raining right now, and look at my lettuce. It's fine, it's still alive, it's fine and growing really nice. You see? Goodness, it's so freezing. It may ice up later this evening, but the lettuce are still alive. They're very tough plants. And I have these vegetable chrysanthemum also, and they're also doing fine. So I haven't done anything to it. The rain sometimes gets inside, and I just left it like that, and yeah, it's growing. So lettuce can grow in really cold climate. Number 7, where is your setup located and what is the coldest temperature in there? So my setup, of course, is in the garage, and the coldest that it gets in here, sometimes in the mid 40s, sometimes a little cooler. I'm in Texas, so we don't get crazy cold weather, but sometimes when we drop down to freezing, my garage will get up in the low 40s, but that's very rare. Most of the time, it's going to be in the low 50s to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's nice. Right now it's cold. I have a sweater on, so it's pretty cold in here right now. All right, we are on number 8. What is your favorite Growlight brand? I don't have a favorite Growlight brand, and if you watch all of my videos, I've used so many different ones. One of the favorite brand, as far as like working with someone that cares about growing plants and also the company, is the Hidden Harvest Company. Brad is a friend now because we met through our passion of growing, and he sent me a few likes to use, and we talk back and forth all the time. He has a channel. Awesome guy. If you buy his product, you can ask him a bunch of questions, and he's very easy to work with and all that stuff. So I do like that because of our relationship. So Hidden Harvest Company is a good brand to use. I've used, what else? Oh yeah, the Spider Farmer. Spider Farmer has been great for me. I've been using it for a few months now. I use the Growtent and the Growlight, and it's been working amazing. And usually when I test out Growlight, if I don't like it, I'll take it down. I'll put something else up. But the Spider Farmer, I've had it up for a few months and I'm loving it. I'm still using it, and I have so many more things that I want to do with it. And then the other light I have in this side here is that huge Spectra LED. By Spectra LED. This is the phaser, and it is an enormous grow light, and I'm still working with it. There's just so many things I want to do, and I've been testing plants. I've been growing all kinds of stuff. The light is enormous, so it fits up the entire tent, so wherever you put the plant, it gets the same amount of light. So that's the cool thing about that. So with this light, I'm never my plant is never suffering and stretching or whatever, and no matter where I put it. So that's that's also a really cool light brand. And also the guy Keith that sent me this light, he just sent it to me because he loves to grow and he wants me to use it so that I can show other people how to grow. He didn't ask for anything else. So I thought that was really amazing. So Spectra LED is also a really cool company. Okay, number 9. Is it okay to grow different varieties of plants in the same setup? Yes, and also no. Depends on what you're growing. So I showed you that earlier, right? I have lettuce and arugula and then tatsoi next to each other. The tatsoi will grow so big it'll choke out the arugula. So grow plants that are compatible. If plants that are like hogging space, like pak choi, those things, they hog a lot of space and they'll choke out the surrounding plants. So if the surrounding plants can't grow fast enough to compete, it'll just remain this small, while the pak choi is like enormous. So lettuce can be grown next to each other because they don't hog too much space. Pak choi should be grown with other pak choi, and if you've grown arugula, I would grow arugula on their own, like their own setup, because they usually don't compete too well with other plants, and then they ended up growing small and maybe be choked out and out-competed. So again, you can if you grow plants that are compatible. Okay, what is your light cycle? Okay, I set even my AeroGarden and my tent to a 10 hours light cycle. I don't change it. I just put on a timer. It turns on and off all by itself. So that's the cool thing with having a timer. You don't have to go out and turn it on and turn it off. 10 hours on, 10 hours off. It works for peppers, tomatoes, leafy greens. Leafy greens you can actually go less, but because I grow so many things in the same space, I just leave it at 10 hours. Okay, number 11. You use AeroGarden nutrients in many of your videos. Will that work for all plants? Yes, it will work for all plants. Actually, let me take it back. Most plants. So the thing I found with the AeroGarden nutrients is that it lacks calcium and magnesium. So after times, let's just say you're growing peppers and tomatoes, and they need those additional calcium and magnesium for fruiting and all that stuff. So sometimes I add a little bit of CalMag to my AeroGarden when I'm growing fruiting plants. But as far as leafy greens, nope, that's it. That's all you need. Just AeroGarden, 5 milliliter per gallon. You can actually go less. Some lettuce varieties are very sensitive, like the salad bowl, or those softer lettuce. Go a little less, like 3 to 4 milliliters per gallon for those type of lettuce. Romaine you can do 5, tatsoi, pak choi you can go 5, and they're fine. The softer leaf lettuce go 4 milliliters or maybe even 3. That way it doesn't burn the tip of the leaves. So, but for me, I just do 5 and just let it go. But yeah, just go with that and it should be fine. Okay, number 12. What is the fastest growing vegetable for growing indoors? The fastest growing vegetables. I would say radish. So I grow radish not for the roots. I grow them for the leaves. So I eat the leaves. It tastes very similar to the roots, but it grows so fast. In just, like 15 to 20 days, the leaves are just massive and you can actually eat the leaves already. They will develop bulb, but radish require a cooler climate to produce the nice bulbs. And so if your grow tent is too hot, you're not gonna get the bulbing, the right size bulb. So I grow them for leaves and they grow so fast, it's just ridiculous. Of course, lettuce, you can get it from 35 to 40 days and then you can get a good harvest. But I think the fastest one for me so far is radish because the leaves just grow so fast. So if you like radish leaves, try them. Try radish in hydroponic. Okay, number 13. Is it possible to grow hydroponic plants without nutrients? I've seen these questions very, very often. And you can, but it will only last for a week or two. That's it, it'll die. Without nutrients, the plant cannot live. That's like a person only drinking water. You don't have food, you can't survive. You can live for a while, but it's not gonna work. So it needs the nutrients in order to grow. Baby plants, you can grow them for like 20 something days on water only and they'd be fine. But as soon as they get to the larger stage, you have to feed it in order for it to grow to the full size. Number 14, with Grow and Bloom nutrients, how do I know when to switch? So the Grow and the Bloom, in exactly the name, Grow is for, it has a higher concentration of nitrogen for making the plants grow faster and bigger and more leaves. And Bloom is when it's switched to blooming. So usually Bloom is for when you grow fruiting plants like tomatoes and peppers and any other berries or whatever for fruiting. So as soon as the plant gets to a certain size, they will start to produce flowers. And at that stage, you can actually switch to Bloom. And that will help with the flowering process. But if you don't have Bloom, it's fine. You can use Grow the entire life cycle of your plants. And I do that all the time. You may not get the optimal yield, like the best results as far as fruiting, but it will have fruits. I grow my peppers in just AeroGarden plant food or the Dino Grow only. I don't even use the Dino Bloom. So yeah, use it if you have it. If you don't have it, it's still going to work. Okay, number 15. Okay, so I discussed this before. You've discussed fungus gnats in the recent video. Could you go into details of how to get rid of them once you already have them? So fungus gnats, I guess in the past video, I showed you how to prevent it from getting into your grow room. So to prevent it, use the right type of soil that potentially doesn't have fungus gnats. But if you already have fungus gnats in your room, there's multiple ways to get rid of them. But first you have to know how they multiply. So fungus gnats, as the name said, they feed on this little fungus in the soil, the fungi, and that's how they grow and multiply. And in order for them to multiply, the soil, the top 2 inches of the soil has to be moist because they can't lay their eggs in dry soil. They'll just die. So they need moisture in the soil in order to lay the eggs and multiply and become annoying. So one way is keep the top level of your soil like 2 inches dry. And that will prevent them from getting in and trying to lay eggs. And that is probably the most difficult thing because you have to water your plants, especially when they're baby plants. So the next thing you can do is use there's this thing called mosquito bits or mosquito dunks. I think they're the same thing. They have this ingredient called BT in there, and BT kill the larvae. It's a slow process, so it's not something like you use it and then they're gone. No, it takes time. It takes maybe a week or week and a half in order for you to get rid of most of the fungus gnats. So you use that in combination of traps or vinegars or something like that. Fungus gnats are attracted to strong smelling vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is good. You put that next to the plants in a little pot, mix it with soap. They will go in there, they get stuck, they'll die. You kill the adults. And then while you water, you mix the mosquito bits in water, and then you water your plants. And the mosquito bits will kill the larvae in there slowly, and that will get rid of the cycle. So once you kill the larvae, they can't hatch to the adults, so they can't lay eggs. So if the adult is already out flying around, you have to kill those too, because they'll go in and then they'll lay eggs, and then you have to kind of water again to kill the new eggs. So the cycle might have to be stopped completely. So you have to kill the adults, and then you have to kill the larvae. So mosquito dunks are great. Also, another way that I use is once the plants get large enough, they have roots further to the bottom. I bottom water. That way I leave the topsoil dry, and then I apply diatomaceous earth. Let me show you. This here, these are diatomaceous earth. And all that is these finely crushed powders. They look just like baking soda. They're really fine. And you put it on top of the soil, the dry soil. It has to be dry soil. And then the fungus gnats will land on it, and then it will stick to them and they die. So that's another way that I use it to get rid of all the gnats. So those are the three ways. They work, guys. The mosquito bits work. Okay? So that is the fungus gnats. Okay, number 16. Which method produces better tasting vegetable, DWC or Kratky? So I did a test on this before and I couldn't tell the difference. Kratky is better for me because it doesn't need a pump. So all you have to do is set it up and that's it. It's the cheapest way. Just set it up and done. DWC, you need an air pump, so it needs to pump oxygen into the water. So that's an additional thing you have to buy that you don't have to if you're growing vegetables. So the taste is the same to me. I mean, if you know the difference, please share your experience because I couldn't tell. How come my lettuce tastes bitter? The only time that my lettuce tastes bitter is because they are already past the stage of being good. Like there's a stage where they begin to start to produce smaller, harder, tougher leaves, and that's when they start to bolt. So when they start to bolt, the leaves are going to be bitter and rough and tough. And that's the time that you don't want to eat them anymore, just replace them. But other than that, I'm not sure why they taste bitter. I mean, heat does cause the lettuce to be bitter because the heat also causes them to mature quickly and start to bolt. So check the temperature in your grow room and also the age of the lettuce as well. So if you're growing from seeds and in 30, 40 days and they're bitter, then it could be the variety of lettuce because in 30 to 40 days they should grow from baby plants to the best harvesting stage and they should not be bitter. Okay, and next number here, I think it's either 18 or 19. My basement is too cold to grow plants. Could you suggest something that I could do? That's a good one. So if you live in a place where the basement is too cold, I wonder how cold it is because you can actually grow lettuce down to the 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Another way you can, kind of eliminate or try to help produce some heat is use a Growlight like the HID Growlights. Those produce a ton of heat. So if you use those, it'll heat up your tent and you can probably grow plants that way. Also, you can use a heat mat. The heat mat does help produce heat from the bottom. It's very little heat, but it's some heat. So as soon in combination of the different light you use and the heat mat, it probably could heat up your tent. Also, close the windows of your tent. That also helps, keep the heat in. So those are the things that you can do because in the past I've used CMH. Yeah, the CMH light, and man, that thing produced a ton of heat. So I could not use it in the summer. So I had to wait until winter time to use it so that it can produce the heat that my plants need. In the summer, in combination of my garage and the sun beating down on it, it is too hot, so you can't use the CMH or HID lights. So yeah, the lights does help produce some of the heat for you. Okay, so yeah, so that is it, guys. So we went down the whole thing, and I'm gonna put the timeline so you can check it out. So I hope these questions will help you, and you find these helpful, and spread the love of gardening, and try it out. It's amazing. It's gonna cause you to want to grow more things once you started doing it, and it's gonna be really good for your health, because it makes you really happy to see your plants grow. And you kind of get excited to, you know, come home from a hard day, long day of work, or come home from school or whatever, and just come out and tend to the plants and do different projects with the indoor gardening. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.